Ayaan Hirsi Ali, former Muslim, became part of the sort of atheist movement, was converted to Christianity, and part of her real reasoning for that was the cultural influence of Christianity. I think a lot of people are seeing that. Even Richard Dawkins the other day.
I noticed that. He said he's like
he's a cultural Christian, which is a warmth that he has never expressed towards Christianity until he goes, oh, well, seeing this beer. Yeah. So I think Northern Ireland's got, I think I hold that as an advantage in Northern Ireland, but not an exclusive positive. Yeah. We do have much higher, like actual church attendance here is way higher than, say, England or Scotland would be, and so I think that whilst we do have a lot of that cultural Christianity, we also do have some quite a lot of genuine Christianity
like
with that
faith,
mix that.
That's I know, again, to talk about Matt Fradd, I think he's mentioned it a few times in his podcast, this concept of when there's an enemy at the gate, warring brothers reconcile, and that's probably what's going on a bit with Dawkins. And even, I mean, I think obviously Jordan Peterson has his own view on faith and things, which is interesting, but I think the other day he might have just got like baptized or something. His
wife became a Catholic, and he has...
Or taking communion or something.
Yeah, he was at a service with her. I don't know. I still think he's going to be a hard guy to get over the line. But he's going to be dragged kicking and screaming. But it is interesting how there's been a number of those really high profile people starting to move. Russell Brand is another one. There's a guy, Jeremy, he's got a YouTube channel called The Quartering. That's a big YouTube channel, and he's like started reading the Bible. He's like, the world's so messed up, I'm going to start reading the Bible.
Better go to the safety of that.
So there's a lot of that going on, actually, which I think's encouraged. I actually posted on Twitter last night. Like, I think we might be on the edge of something like what I'm calling like a normie revival. like
trad revival.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, like where there's something of like people that recognize that the world has gone nuts and they're not on board with the progressive agenda.
Correct.
And they recognize that this is wrong, and they're going, right, well, what's the solution?
Right, let's wind it back a few steps to where we had a trustworthy reference or frame of reference for how to view the world. And
I don't know. I think if you look at the macro trends, you'd probably say that Christianity's got less.
The whole.
But I do think there's a slight recent uptick that I'm seeing.
Or it's getting like to be viewed as more acceptable or cool almost in a way.
There's certainly like a countercultural, like, that person's a Christian and they're kind of not ashamed of it, and that has with it now some social credibility that perhaps it didn't have, at least among some people. There's definitely, I mean, Justin Brierley, who does the Unbelievable show, which is part of Premier Christian Radio, isn't it? He's written a book which I haven't read, but I've read an article on the book, so I'll give you the gist, talking about basically the surprising rebirth of Christianity. And he noticed something in it, which I've noticed, and I was looking at the stats on this, that the younger Gen Z males are getting more religious than they were, and more Christian in that. I think the fastest growing sector of society in Finland, which is a really random example, but it's the one he had stats on, was men aged 18 to 29. And I think there is something happening where particularly guys, so I mean, I'm kind of the opinion that guys have been very much maligned in a lot of the recent sort of feminist world that we've been in. Yeah. So guys are starting to go, well, we've got to find a solution here, and they are becoming significantly more open to Christianity. So so I think there's a slight turning around that's happening there, and so I think you see what you're talking about amongst people that maybe guys are drawn to. So the likes of, say, a Jordan Peterson, a Douglas Murray, a Joe Rogan. These guys have no. I don't consider any of them to be Christians.
No, at least not of yet. Hopefully, someday.
Not yet. Yeah, one day. I think they're good thinkers, but they have a warmth and an openness to Christianity, and they are certainly creating a little bit of space for Christian voices that they weren't perhaps before. There's something that's happening there. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I hope they get there someday, but I think it's still at the stage where a lot of those guys, especially Jordan Peterson, are taking some of the what they see as the positives of Christianity. But have you ever seen the George Janko podcast?
No, was that the one? I know who he is.
Yeah, he was
did
on,
one
like
with
Logan Paul's show,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
he did one with Jordan Peterson.
Someone sent it. I haven't watched it.
He kind of held his feet to the fire a little bit, where he sort of pushed him and was like, it was from the perspective of, he did it from the perspective of Jordan Peterson being a Christian, so he kind of treated him like he was, because I think Jordan Peterson says he believes in God and he believes in Christ, in the Richard Rohr sense of Christ, perhaps.
Sure,
but so Janko treated him like he was a Christian basically throughout the interview, but he was asking the questions like, who is Jesus to you, and how do you believe that he is the only way to the Father? Like, he was asking them these kind of questions, and it was interesting to hear him wrestle with questions that he maybe hadn't been asked before, and I was kind of hoping he would give him a hard time with it, but that it's like trying to push him just to say, like, to take the next step, saying like, not only is Jesus the way to like a wise or a prosperous life or whatever, but he's the way, you know, and that's the bridge we kind of need to cross with a lot of these folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it was something I did put in that Russell Brand video. Maybe you wanted to ask a question specifically about that, but I'll go there now anyway, which is the C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis has this brilliant quote, I don't know it all, but it's this long passage where he talks about basically, you can't view Jesus as merely a good teacher.
Right, yep.
Because he made all these outrageous claims. So either he's a complete liar, and his followers, by the way, would have to be complete liars, because they're all claiming to have seen him raised from the dead and all this stuff.
For people without believing it.
Right, yeah. And they're claiming to have seen him raised from the dead. So either they're telling lies, and so that would cancel out the entirety of the New Testament as being any source of truth if he's a liar or a lunatic and they're all mad, or he's God in the flesh and who literally died and literally rose again. And that is the dividing line. That's a really important dividing line. So that's where I would want to push those guys in, and I think it's good when people do that, because you can't have a philosophical Jesus or a purely Jesus. There's a lot
not
in
just a good teacher.
You can't just have that. You either have to go the whole way or you have to reject it all. And so it's good to see that. I don't know if George Janko did that. Sounds like he did a bit to some extent.
He did. He kind of did just kind of push him a little more than I've heard him being pushed. But it was interesting to see it. Like, I'm kind of the opinion that it's not a bad thing to treat people, if they make a claim to believe in some way, then treat them like it's credible.